the case of Benjamin Netanyahu, he's gonna he's gonna go to the United States, or I don't know if he just arrived in the United States or he's gonna be on his way to the United States. He's gonna meet with Donald Trump tomorrow, it seems. What does he want from Donald Trump, and what is the main objective of this meeting between the two?
Well, I think he would like Donald Trump to finish the regime change in Iran and continue the war, just as long as Israel doesn't have to be in the middle of it. That's what they want. But I don't think he'll get that. I think that's the challenge, the problem he faces.
What is this silent Larry between Iran and the United States? No attacks in the last 24 hours, in the last 2 days, I would say.
48 hours.
48 hours, exactly.
So no attacks on Friday, no attacks on Saturday, and so far no attacks on Sunday. So 58, so 60 hours.
Yeah.
So, and there likely will not be any attacks until, if Netanyahu comes and talks Trump into something, maybe they might start then. But it doesn't appear that all the military planning cells are in place to do the pre-planning that would be required to conduct such attacks.
Do you feel that the negotiations are going on behind the scene? That's why they stop attacking each other?
Well, apparently, yes. I mean, that's what we're hearing, that there are, there are negotiations, at least between Oman and Iran and Qatar and Iran. So definitely something going on.
We had a report on Axis saying that CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper recommended ending the bombing campaign around the Strait of Hormuz, arguing it had reached the limit of its effectiveness. And how, Larry,
Now,
how is that?
Where was that reported?
Axios reported that.
Oh, okay, Axios. Today?
Yeah, today.
Okay.
Yeah, his recommendation, along with advice from other senior officials and warning about dwindling air defense interceptor supplies, influenced President Trump's decision to pause U.S. strikes against Iran on Friday, as it was reported on Axios.
Okay.
What is your
so apparently
take?
you got Brad Cooper and then General Kane all singing from the same sheet of music.
Yeah. Let me just bring, Larry, here the new report and by CSIS. Here is the ammunitions of the United States when it comes to the, let me just bring it up. I don't know how accurate are these numbers. You may have some sort of understanding of that. It says the status of the U.S. ammunition is Tomahawk, JASSMs, PRSM, and SM-3, SM-6, the THAAD, and Patriot. How do you see these numbers? How did you find it?
Yeah, so Tomahawk, I think it's down below, well down. That one says it's 2,100 left. I think it's below 2,000.
It says 3,100.
No, but that's pre-war.
Pre-war,
3,100. Number used is 1,000, so that's 2,100, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
My math. All right, stick with me on the math here, Kim. You're the engineer, not me. Jesus.
You're right. On point.
So I think it's less than 2,000. The JASSMs, I'm sure, that says they got like 3,300 left. I bet you, again, they're down around 2,000, if that. Prisms, they may have 10 left. because there were only 56 produced this last year. Again, SM3s, the SM6 is, again, those are way down. That has been virtually depleted. And they're claiming that actually, that's about right. So pre-war inventory at 2330, estimated 1430. So they got about 800 left, 900 left. I think that's accurate. So no, these are not wildly off. These are in the ballpark.
Yeah. I think this is one of the main factors for what's going on right now. Let me just, I think this graph is showing better what has happened during the war. And you see the difference, going from 4,400 to, 1,000, 1,100. And you see the
But no,
difference.
that's not, again, you're reading it wrong. What they're showing is the total estimated before, and then they're showing the number used. It's
Yeah.
not showing the number left over. The number left over is the distance between the red, the right side
between
of
the
the
red
red
and the blue. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the number of JASMs and Tomahawks is much smaller than what they're estimating. I think their estimates for the Prism and the THAAD and Patriot are the Patriot's even less. So I don't see how those numbers don't work. Should be just 900. Yeah. I mean, the graphs are a little screwed up, but it makes the point. They're short.
These are interceptors, Larry. When it comes to the
Not
THAAD
all.
and
Not all. THAAD and Patriot are interceptors. JASM, Tomahawk, Prism are so-called long-range, intermediate-range precision missiles.
exactly. Yeah. These are numbers. I think they matter the most for Donald Trump and his calculation. Is that the case, or is that about?
Oh, I think it's one possible factor, but I pointed out another one last night as well. The shortage of diesel and jet fuel. The military's basically been stealing from civilian supplies to keep itself supplied, and the shortages on the civilian side are increasing dramatically, which is going to have real negative economic consequences. So, and it doesn't mean it's either or; it can be both. I mean, there's not just one factor weighing in, I think, on Trump's decision, but and also just watching what the Houthis did to the Saudis. When they blew the hell out of Jazan or Jizan, petrochemical refinery. So that's the fact that Iran can do similar amounts of damage to the United States, U.S. infrastructure throughout the region. That this continues, whereas the United States cannot do the same level of damage, in part because of its short limitations on its weapon systems.
Did the United States reduce the number of forces in the region, or it's still 50,000? It was 50,000, 55,000.
It doesn't matter if they have 100,000. It's an irrelevant number. I mean, it's just, if they got 50,000 people, those are the majority are support personnel, mechanics, people servicing the aircraft, refueling the aircraft, carrying out ground crew activities. But these are not combat forces waiting to invade Iran. It's not to say that the United States may try something that's stupid, but I don't think that we've not seen a surge of personnel forward to do that mission. And in fact, the one unit that's actually qualified to do that kind of assault sees like Karg Island or seized Keshem. That unit hasn't even been deployed. So
Zelensky attack, as we talked about it before, Iranian vessel, cargo vessel from Russia to Iran was hit by, I don't know if they used the drones to hit that cargo. One of this, one sailor was killed, and today the Iranian foreign minister said, calling Zelensky a freeloader, and says they're going to respond to what Zelensky did. But it says the Iranian foreign minister says that Israel is behind this, or they're doing this for Israel, and because
maybe
they want to drag Europe into the fight.
they may very well try to do that. Yeah. So I mean, it's like wake me up when Iran retaliates. Until then, threats, words, they mean nothing. And if Iran retaliates, it's there are limits to what it can do. It's not like Kyiv is not getting hit with missiles. One more ballistic missile from Iran is not going to make a hell of a lot of difference. Again, I guess what the hell are they going to hit?
I don't know what Iran can add to what Russia is doing in Ukraine. That's the problem for Iran.
Yeah.
I don't see Iran doing anything anytime soon because they don't need to go. Russia is just hitting everything in Ukraine.
Russia has intensified its attack on both with missiles, drones, in Kyiv and Odessa and Nikolaev, and all on the front line. So it's not just in one dimension. Russia's fighting on multiple dimensions right now.
Do you see any scenario under which Europe would join the fight?
Join what fight?
Into West Asia. Yeah, on behalf with Ukraine. No, helping Israeli war on Iran, helping the United.
They got their hands full trying to help Ukraine, and they're doing a damn poor job of that too. Yeah, no, they're not going to get up embroiled with Iran, Persian Gulf. They need the liquid natural gas coming out of there desperately. But what's happening is whatever natural gas is coming out, the Asians are stepping up saying, "Hey, we'll pay a higher price," and the owners of that gas are saying, "Great, we'll go to you. Screw Europe." So Europe's in real trouble. It's paying exorbitant prices compared to what it was paying. Again, this is hell. They get everything they deserve. To suffer, to freeze to death. They're the ones that walked away from a relationship with Russia when Russia was providing cheap oil and gas, or cheap liquid natural gas and cheap gasoline, cheap diesel. And Europe told them to go to hell. Okay. I think the one's going to get to hell first is going to be Europe. And they'll probably, and come January, February, they'll welcome hell because at least they'll have some heat, because it's going to be icy cold winter. And again, I don't think Ukraine can survive a winter right now because the pace of the collapse has accelerated. Russia's not holding back on who it's targeting like they did in the past. And the shutting off the grain flows in and out, all the product flows in and out of Odessa. It's a stranglehold on Ukraine. That it cuts off. It's like cutting off the flow of oxygen. They'll die.
But the situation is somehow getting so critical. I think it's as your understanding is spot on, because nobody's talking about the blockade on Odessa. Odessa is under the Russian blockade as we talk. It means that there is no connection between Ukraine with the Black Sea. Odessa is a big chunk of the Black Sea.
And Nikolaev, don't forget Nikolaev, which is a little farther west of Odessa. But again, another important port, for getting goods in and out of Ukraine. Yeah, no, this is devastating now. But you just look back and say, why the hell didn't Russia do this sooner? But for whatever the reasons, they're doing it now. That's what counts.
Because they're learning from the battlefields in the West Asia. They see these blockades are working just perfectly to put pressure. I think they had to do it since day one of the war. They could have bring a lot of. You remember how the British used that port in Odessa to bring a lot of weapons, a lot of forces, everything. They were running Odessa for such a long time.
Yeah. Well, Russia again is actually, I'd say, pretty naive as a country, too trusting. They signed up to an agreement pushed by the UN, by the United Nations and Secretary General, and to allow the grain flows to the global South. But it was really, that was the cover story, but the Europeans diverted it to Europe. So Russia finally said, "Hey, we've had it." Yeah, after their own ships were getting attacked, and not a word of protest from the United Nations on behalf of Russia. Russia said, "Screw it. We're not. It's a one-way street. We're not playing that game anymore." And they've now shut down the Odessa port. Nothing's going in. Nothing's going out.
The other point would be we're talking about, is Russia going to attack Odessa? Are they gonna capture Odessa? What would be the policy? Basically, with the blockade, they don't need to go and fight in Odessa or underground. They put the blockade and the port is just turning into nothing.
No, they'll ultimately need to go in. Just the blockade itself is not going to cause the Ukrainian troops in Odessa to surrender. It'll help. But ultimately, it's going to be Russian troops going to have to go in, take it over, physically occupy it. And they will, I believe.
My understanding, if they stay with the blockade and put political pressure on Odessa, they may change the situation in that city. It's a big city, by the way. It's not something easy to go underground, and it's going to be a trap for them. I don't know how easy.
It has historically been a Russian city. It was not historically a Ukrainian city, despite Ukrainian claims to the contrary. So, I can see Russia just, they're going to take it at some point. It's just a matter of when and how.
There is nothing left in Ukraine more important than in Ukraine today, more than Odessa and Nikolaev, in my opinion. Because these are two, I would say, choke points of Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a southern lifeline. I mean, that's their only sea access, and cargo ships, container ships, can carry a hell of a lot of goods, as well as be the means for exporting what Ukraine produces in terms of grains, principally. Yeah, that's all shut off, done. So they're, like I said, they're in the early stages of strangulation.
No. That's why I don't see. I don't know how much of pressure they would put on Russia by attacking Iranian vessel. That doesn't have anything to do with Russia.
It's largely irrelevant. It's one vessel.
They're desperate.
Even if they sank it, so what? That's not critical to Russia's war effort. It may have been important for Iran's war effort, but again, it's just this highlights the military weakness of Ukraine. And all it can do now is attack civilian targets. It's proven ineffective going after military targets.
If it was of that importance, in my opinion, Iran would have responded by now. Maybe some wheat, or maybe seed oil or something of that sort. It was hit. It wasn't that.
I think they're going to leave it to the Russians to pound the hell out of Ukraine. Iran can focus on its own, area of responsibility right now.